Z committee will be interviewing individuals during our upcoming P and Z scheduled meeting in July. If we have suitable candidates, we will send that individual's name forward for city council consideration. At the end of July, my term as P and Z commissioner will be concluded. We will be requesting nominations to fill the role of chairman going forward, and we will move that name forward for city council to consider. Being there was no further business, P and Z adjourned.
Nathan, excuse me, are you going to stay on the board and resign as the chair?
If they allow me to stay on the
Okay.
committee, we'll take a vote, and I'll stay on the committee, and it'd be good to have a new face for chairman.
Okay.
And we'll take a vote on that as well.
Okay. Well, you know, Ken stayed on, just
Can
saying.
say it on.
Do you have a recommendation for that position?
We have interested parties that would like to be chairman, and because of you guys adding additional members on there, we have good representation, and also we're seeing really good candidates coming forward to fill the vacancy that's open as well. Yeah.
Great. Looking forward to your recommendations, or
Yep.
commission's recommendations anyway.
Yeah, and we'll send all that to the city council.
Thank you, Nathan.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna come back to citizens' comments in just a second, but since Nathan did that, I'm gonna go ahead to item 5, and that's to discuss and consider the special use permit, since he covered it already, most of it, so we talked about it. I'm gonna go ahead and move to that, then I'll come back to the citizens' comments in just a second. Okay. Do I hear at item 5, would need a motion to accept and discuss and consider the special use permit, short-term rental located on 35 Vista Drive?
I think everything looks in order on the permit, and so I'll move for granting the special use permit for 35 Vista Drive.
Sean, seconded. Any discussion or any questions on that?
The only comment I'll make is, you know, the application process has been fairly new. We have seen some really great success with it. We haven't had at least phone calls that I know of from, you know, issues pertaining to it. So it seems like the positive regulatory, you know, process that we're taking has seemed to be working. We are still talking with other cities. Places are not to where we are, so that's really good. I think the positive direction has been working out well.
And do I understand we have like 8 applications?
8 that we know of.
That we know of, so.
8 that we know of.
It's a few out there, so, anyway. Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of accepting that item 5?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I'm gonna come back to the citizen comment. Denise, your turn. I didn't mean to skip you there. I apologize for that. I was so excited, I just got excited and went forward.
I just wanted to say, I thought the 3rd of July event went really great. I appreciate everybody that put an effort forward to doing that, because I thought it was just a really great time for the community. The bounce houses for the kids, the live band, the food trucks, and then really talking to this neighbor about using his private yard for handicap to park in, I thought was an excellent idea. And having, you know, organizing it with the guy across the water for his fireworks, even though we had to shuffle down we were at the Morgan's Point Marina, and we had to shuffle down the stairs to see it, but it still was great, you know, just to have it just go so well, and the food trucks were all sold out. So that just means next year we'll have more food trucks, I hope. So I thought it was really a good, fun time with the live band and everything. So I just wanted to say thank you all. I mean, with working that gentleman, I know in the past he's been kind of, with the voting thing, he gets a little bit teed off. And so that was really nice that somebody was able to work with him and get his yard open for that. And the parking really wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. And you ordered pretty good weather, so I thought it all went well. So I wanted to thank you all. I'm looking forward to next year.
Good.
This
Thanks,
being the
Steve.
first year, there's gonna be, the first one, there's some issues that are gonna be addressed, and it's only gonna get better and bigger.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm thinking.
we're
I thought
thinking.
it was great. I thought the kids had a blast. So.
Thank you very much. Jim Ann, you're always the last one, so, last but not least, is that what I'm supposed to say?
Well, yes.
I'm just here to talk about the summer reading program, which the first Saturday is July 23rd, which is not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. And the theme is our community. And on that Saturday, we're going to have the mayor address the children, the girls and boys, and we're going to have a mayor and council members selected from the group. So any of you council members, you might want to come and see with whom you will be sitting at the next council meeting in August.
Thank you,
It's
Jimmy.
from 10 to 12.
Thank you, Bim.
Thank you.
Okay, Jimbo, you'd like to give us an update on the home rule charter?
Yes, sir. So this thing is not functioning? Oh, okay. I was just gonna shove it out of my face, though. Mr. Mayor, council, fellow citizens, so home rule, I'm gonna start this evening by bringing up and introducing, quick introduction for Mr. Grady Randall. I apologize for reading, I got a crick in my neck, so just kind of get over it. But Grady is the president of the Randall Law Office and was a legal expert that guided the home rule process for our committee. He's a native Texan, concentrates his practice in the areas of real estate, municipal law, represents government entities, local municipalities, litigation, regulation, land development, zoning, land use, and other matters, and serves as a city attorney for 5 municipalities. He's been practicing law for 39 years, 39 plus years, don't mean to age it, Grady, sorry. He's earned a prestigious AV peer review from the Martindale-Hubbell, signifying that's the highest ethical standards and legal abilities. He holds both a Juris Doctorate and a Bachelor's of Business Administration from Baylor. He's a member of the state bar for Texas and the Houston Bar Association. My personal opinion, we were fortunate to have him kind of guiding us during the whole process. So a little background on him. Grady, if you want to come up and you can address council and citizens, and they can address you, and then I'll jump back up.
Good evening. Like Jack Lemon, I'm the out-of-towner that has come and had the privilege of working with Morgan Point's Resort Charter Commission. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'm just going to go over the process a little bit and what we went through. One of the first things we did that we used was this big spreadsheet. And this is a spreadsheet of every charter city in Bell County. So if we got down to a specific issue, and I see several charter members here, commission members here, we'd go see what the other cities did. We didn't want to get too far out, but we didn't want to be in lockstep either. So as I told them, I'm not here to tell you how to run your city. I'm here to help you draft. I'll give you the pros and cons of a position, but if in the final say, it's the commission's decision. And then, as tonight, they're sending the charter up to you, and then it's your responsibility to call the election, and it's the voters' final decision on whether they will adopt this. Is it 100% of what everybody wanted? Absolutely not. We are a democracy. There had to be compromises, reconsiderations of the reconsiderations, questions of, well, wait, where did this come from? We talked about this 3 weeks ago. Well, somebody wanted to discuss it again. So I know several of the council members were there. They saw it. Like the old saying, you don't want to see how sausage or laws are made. And, you know, it was the grinder sometimes. But, and I'll get to the specific charter in a second. I wanted to bring to your attention checklist or timeline, and I don't know if y'all have it or not. So the Charter Commission has delivered the report to you, which is the charter. It's your responsibility and requirement to call an election at the next uniform election date, which is November. So the last day to call that is August 22nd. Dalton and I have already coordinated that, and that will be in your August meeting, and it's just simply call an election. And I'll send a copy of what the typical ordinance is, but it typically is, shall we adopt a charter? It's just as simple as that. It's not a vote on every single, it's not a vote on each item. It's a vote for it's up or down for the whole charter. By October 8th, the city secretary, by state law, has to mail a copy of the entire charter to each registered voter in the city. And that's going to be a big mailing charge, stamp charge, but that's just, it's required by law. Can you put Mr. Hartman and Mrs. Hartman on, or Ms. Hartman on it, 2 stickers? Yeah, 1 envelope, 1 stamp. You can do it, and you don't have to send separate to the same address. So the election date is November 8th, and you will also, as I understand it, be having other elections on that date also. And then after that, if the charter passes, and it's always a question of if, it's not a sure thing, then when the vote is canvassed, the charter becomes adopted. It's effective when the council enters an order in the minutes declaring the charter adopted. So you've got adopted, then you have effective, then you've got it certified, where the mayor has to certify it and sends it to the Secretary of State, the Texas Secretary of State, as the law says, to be kept in a well-bound book. No one keeps it in a book, they scan it, but that's what it says. And then the secretary records the charter in the minutes with a copy available to the public, and then you have a charter, and you become home rule. Home rule means you have all the powers of Texas, except what Texas says you don't. So you don't have to go to look to Texas for a law, as we would call it in the local government code, about this thick. You've got it. Now, Texas preempts certain areas like annexation. You saw the governor exert his influence and powers during COVID. So there are some cities that buckled under that. There were some that didn't, but the Texas prevails. They preempt that. But other than that, you've got all the power of the state. One thing, and this is also, I want to commend, the Charter Commission. They were a very engaged group. I've been to some that were snoring, but there was no snoring in this one. There was robust debate, respectful, but robust. And, you know, we knocked heads, but that's what you're supposed to do, to hammer out what you want. And this is your local constitution, 25 whole pages. Now, we could go the Texas model of a constitution which has 444 amendments at last count. Actually more, because they've just passed some. We could go with the United States Constitution that has 25 amendments. We went with less is more. So there's fewer words, which is antithetical to a lawyer, because we, you know, sometimes we hear bill by the word, but less is more, and if we could do it with 1 sentence as opposed to a paragraph, we did it. The Charter Commission worked well. Well attended, never busted a meeting for lack of a quorum, everybody engaged. I want to also thank city staff for everything they did. This book was great, prepared by the city. It had a book, a treatise called Texas Home Rule Charters. It's a little old, but it's a good go-by. We also used a home rule charter survey, and this is what we went through every meeting. Just tick them off. Do you want the mayor to appoint boards, or do you want council to appoint boards? Do you want the mayor to have a vote? Do you want the mayor to have a veto? Every little thing we checked, and you could see my hand scratching here, which I mostly was able to read afterwards. And then if it was not correct, I guarantee you the Charter Commission let me know on that. We had examples of a couple of other charters here as go-bys, just as an example, much like the spreadsheet I told you.
Let everybody know also, the charter is on our website. So even though you don't have it yet, if you want to look at it before the mail out, it is on our website. So you can go on there and the whole charter is there. So, sorry, you're ready to let people know on that right there.
So we made a list of how will the charter make the city better. There are 29 items on that. It sets the size of council. It sets the term of office. And I'm not going to read all 29 to you, but this is a cheat sheet, 29 ways to play golf or easy or charters for dummies, whatever you want to call it here. And this is a good go-by on how specifically this will make or could make your city better. Now, I was asked at lunch today, did I ever have a charter fail? Yes. Meadows Place went for a vote last November. We did that whole charter through Zoom, and it failed. It's not a guarantee. I think one of the reasons it did was it wasn't wholeheartedly backed by council, frankly. Mayor backed it. Most of the council did. But this is the tight wire you will rope, or tight wire you will walk. You cannot spend public money advocating for a position. There may be somebody that pay taxes that's not for the charter. They have a right not to have their money spent advocating for that, something they don't want. The exact opposite is true too. But you can educate. And so education is different than advocating. So you just tell them the facts. And I went to, the city attorneys have an annual meeting this year is down in Galveston, which was really nice, and they actually had one on charters. And they called it Selling the Amendments. And one of them says, requires to work with media and get firm reporting. The other one is council must be supportive of the election. Council, administration, and committee members must be out selling. So though you sit up here, you can't advocate from your position as a council member, but you can certainly put a yard sign in your yard. You can support it as an individual, as a voter, as a citizen of the city. Must be prepared on talking points, which is your 29 talking points. HOA, civic organization, church groups, and other locally influential groups and public hearings. Jimbo will tell you the number of the number of meetings and the person hours and the open houses and coffees that you've had on this. Y'all have done, and the commission has done very good in getting the word out. But again, finally, the final say is up to the voters. So, any questions so far? Any questions on the charter? Yes, ma'am.
Not in the, just when you said, as far as the letter going out to the citizens, and you said to each individual, is that each individual or is that each registered voter?
Each registered voter.
Okay.
We plan on sending it to every address just to be on the safe side.
Each registered voter.
Okay.
So the kids don't get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But each registered voter. And, you know, there's some houses that the one spouse may not be a registered voter. Just put the label on it, and then you don't have a challenge. And I guarantee you it's a lot cheaper than paying a lawyer to
There's
defend.
gonna be a townhouse meeting coming up, right, Jimbo? Or Grady, you familiar with you? Is it coming up next week or week after?
Supposed to be this week, the town hall meeting, he's asking about.
6:30, I need to get clarification on whether it's here or at the library, but yes, town hall at
So if that gives people a chance to look at it online, and if you do have a question, be there Thursday, and you'll have some of your committee members there too, right, Jimbo? Yes. So they'll answer all your questions on it, so sometimes without having read it, it's kinda hard to ask the question. Sorry about that, Greg.
No,
Can we
that's
get the-
fine.
Can we get the cheat sheet,
Yes.
so when people ask?
It's already at the city. They'll pass that out to
Yeah,
you.
we'll make sure we get it. We'll
I
get it.
think it is. Yeah, I know it is.
No, it's on the website.
You should everything at the city.
So.
Any other questions, council? I think that's great.
Okay.
There may be some after everybody reads the report, so, you know, might be some questions raised then. But we'll address that at the, town hall meeting.
Well, this is my swan song, unless you see this crazy 64-year-old man out there trying to water ski, but, or see if he can still slalom. But if you have any questions, feel free to call.
We
Neil and I
appreciate-
met, and I'm handing it off.
We appreciate what you've done. I know you put a lot of effort into it with the crew, so, and Jimbo, thank you, and your whole crew. There was, what, 16 of you? 16 of you that worked on things, that, y'all put some hours in. How many hours you tell me y'all put in?
I've got a quick summary if you're done with Brady.
Oh, okay. I'll let him finish it up then. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it.
Please speak into the microphone. Okay, so see a lot of, like Mayor said, see a lot of new faces today. So this is kind of something I put together after talking with our committee, members of the committee, and it's just kind of a quick summary, so just bear with me because it may not be so quick. So the Home Rule Committee was conducted, or has conducted its formal duties, and we're proud to be able to present the council, the mayor, and you guys with the draft of our proposed Home Rule Charter. I think it's important, and I wanted to capture some notes about the committee, the process, and the product that you see. So the committee consisted of 16 residents of NPR for various backgrounds and demographics. Some of us have been active in the city and city politics in the past, and some of us, like myself, have never done anything as far as politics at any level. So learning experience there. We're selected and approved by members of the city council and the mayor, came together to represent Morgan's Point Resort as a whole, bring our various backgrounds and views to the table in order to prepare the best product that we could that will combine Morgan's Point past and present, and hopefully shape its future. So that was kind of our goal. What we came up with is a home rule charter that is available on the internet. You can go look at it. It's the final draft. It's a 25-page document. Best product that the committee believes will help take us from Texas general law, like Grady discussed, into community that is more able to decide its own future and effectively make decisions that are the best for the citizens of Morgan's Point and more in line for us. The draft is not a document of change, rather it's a document of evolution. As Morgan's Point continues to grow, we as a community continue to evolve. Charter puts in writing not only the parts of the city that we thought should evolve, but it also captures the things that we thought we needed to keep and put those together in one cohesive document. So let's see, we had a document that's put together. We had 11 formal committee meetings, 4 town halls, and 2 coffees. There were more than 250 man-hours spent on the clock by all the committee members, and that doesn't include the countless hours of reading and research off the clock that went into it. We tried to canvass the community and listen to what our fellow citizens had to say, not only during our formal public comment phase at every meeting, but also in and around the community as well. What you and the entire city needs to understand, and Grady touched on this, is that this document is by no means perfect. No document ever is. Quite honestly, that's why there are processes built in that make available and require at certain stages periodic reviews. Most importantly, though, is the takeaway that there's not a single person on our committee, not one of the 16 of us, and you can ask every one of them, that got 100% of what they wanted. None of us. So it was all about compromise. And by proxy, as we were selected to represent the community, none of you are going to get 100% of what you want. Sorry. We discussed at times, like Grady said, quite vigorously what we believed was the best solution, and in the end put forward what we believe is the best complete product. It was about communication, collaboration, and compromise. In the end, as the chairman, I asked all 13 members in attendance at our last meeting if there was anything at all written in the pages of our charter that would prohibit them from supporting the charter as it was written. To a person, the answer was no. Every single one of them said no. After a motion and a second to adopt the draft, charter. The vote was held and it passed unanimously 13-0. So we as a committee are quite pleased with the product we're putting forth. We're not naive enough to think that it's going to be embraced by each and every citizen of Morgan's Point, but we believe that with conversation and education, we can explain our thought process, touch on that in a second. As one of our committee members so succinctly put it, we need to remove the cancer of negativity and misinformation that will undoubtedly exist. As a chairman of the committee, I can tell you that I'm both honored and proud to have been on the committee and to be able to put forth the charter to council, to the mayor, and to my fellow. I do hope that as the council saw fit to pursue home rule, that we can garner support from you guys as citizens and from the citizens of Morgan's Point. So with that, I'll close with the town halls. Like we said, the next one's coming up on Thursday. And just for structure of the town hall, as the charter is already written, it cannot be adjusted. So what we are putting forth is the draft. So the way we are going to structure our town halls is we will break the charter down probably into thirds, and we will put forth a formal agenda, and we will discuss as a committee, whomever shows up. We'll answer your questions on why we kind of what we thought, what we were thinking, so why we wrote what we wrote. So we're not going to get into details about, as a community, what we really think should be in there. It's too late for that. So now we're just going to discuss why we put in what we put in.
I forgot one other thing, too. So, I need to spill the mic. This is a council call, not a charter commission call. The charter election, and you'll see the very last section of the charter talks about transition elections. The charter commission is increasing council by one council member with places. So, and it goes through how y'all will decide who gets what place. You have the option under the local government code to call the election to adopt the charter and call an election for that sixth council person at the same time as the charter election is being had. If you do that, if the charter fails, then whoever ran for number 6 wasted his or her time. If it passes, then you have that 6th position in right now. That's for a 1-year term, and it's a little odd because you can wait and not call for the 6th position. But you have to call an election in 2023 for it. So you can either run it in 2022 and they start in November of 2022 for 1 year, then they have to run again for 1 year, so they have 2 1-year terms. Or you can wait and call it in 2023 and they have 1-year term, and then it flips to the 2-year term so that you have 4 council members in one election cycle and 3 council members plus the mayor in the other. So just bring that option to you if you want it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Grady, could I ask you a question? Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is just for clarification. You
Yes.
said no city money could be used to either advocate for or against the home rule charter.
Correct.
So these 29 great things about doing the charter would be an advocate for it. So what can the city do in that regard? You talked about making copies and things like that, but wouldn't that be,
So you can't say vote for this.
okay, it's just the verbiage.
Yes, it's the verbiage. If you want to water it down a little bit, I would just say, how will the charter change the city?
Okay.
You can
And the-
educate, but not, like you
So you could say, for instance, number 8, plurality vote is required. That's just an educational point. Whoever runs for position 1, whoever gets the most votes wins. That's just educating. You can't say, you should vote for plurality, because it's better because we won't have to have a runoff election. That type of-
What's the title of the list?
Ma'am,
What did you title the list? 29?
how will the charter make the city better?
Okay,
So if you're
So we
gonna.
need to change
So
that.
this is just how I was educating the charter commission and the council. You can just strike the word better and just say, how will the charter make a change?
okay.
and
So
let
if
them
it-
determine if it's
I
better.
wanted to clarify that, because
Yes,
when you
ma'am.
were, made a point about not spending funds, it's like,
And
oh,
it's really a tightrope, and, you know, some of them, I've seen some really lean forward in the foxhole for, oh, no, I'm just educating. I've never seen anybody really get in trouble, but you don't wanna.
right.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So if there's something in the charter that you don't like, you can't go up there and tell them, say, well, don't vote for the charter.
Well,
No, you can as a citizen, by all means.
Well, no, I'm talking about as a council member.
Well,
Advocating, you said you can't advocate.
if you're sitting up here,
Yeah,
no.
okay, well, it
The
just,
minute you walk out that door, yes. You can say, I don't
Okay,
like this,
okay.
you shouldn't vote for the charter.
so as long as, okay, as long as you're in session, you can't advocate or for
Right.
or against it. But
Right.
once you leave, you can.
Right.
Oh.
Or if you're publishing a pamphlet, I really wouldn't sign it as city, you know, Councilman Larry. I wouldn't sign it as that. I would just sign it Larry, I can't see your last
No,
name.
Got it, but.
There.
No, I mean, well,
It's,
I'm not gonna, I'll be advocating something,
Right.
so, no.
It's
but,
etched in
yeah,
stone.
I just wanted to clear that up,
Right.
so.
it's etched in stone right now,
uh,
but every 2 years you can change it. So if you don't like something, but you think the rest of it's fine, then pass it and in 2 years change it. And get it, the city is required by year 3 to appoint a charter review committee, and they'll review the charter and make any changes. And then they have to do it every 6 years from there. City we just didn't do it for decades, and they had 84 amendments. And every 81 of them went to the voters. Council cut 3 of them, because council can cut amendments, or council doesn't even have to wait for a charter commission, you could do it yourself. And they went with 81, and every one passed. So, it was 1960s language. And this town didn't like Houston, and I said, I'm not here from Houston wearing my wingtips. This is an update. This isn't a remodel. And it passed. But it was really a lot of surgery on that. So you have to do it every 6 years to prevent that from happening. You do it in the first 3 years, just to see if there's something that's just not fitting correctly. It doesn't feel right, doesn't work right in the application.
okay, Greg, we appreciate that.
Sorry it takes so long.
You're good. Jimbo, eating his time.
Council?
I
Yes,
had
ma'am.
one other thing for clarification. You said 13 members all voted unanimously to bring this particular one, or did they vote to bring it to the council, or did they vote that they approved of everything in here?
The final draft that we have that we were presented with, and I don't have the date on it,
Okay,
but that is, so it should be, I can look at the one you're looking at and tell you, because I think there were 3 little changes that we made, so that were brought forward. So the one that is on the website is correct. I'd look at that, so I know that's
okay.
correct.
And you're saying they all voted to support this in its entirety?
Yes.
Okay. I hadn't heard that, but,
Yep.
okay.
Question, Brady. If this passes, will it require the reappointment of all of the city, the department heads and officers?
No, sir, there's a provision in towards the end of the charter, that says all officers, all laws stay the same, all officers stay the same, all employees stay the same, nothing changes. I mean, and everybody's, in effect, the whole. Dalton's, well, he says city manager, so it's already city manager as opposed to city administrator. So no reappointments.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Anything else from me?
Anybody-
Jimbo, thank you so
Jimbo?
much. You did such a great job.
Good.
Announcement,
Everybody
if you-
that's entered
We
the audience
appreciate
that was on the charter committee, please stand up.
Yeah, we've
Come
got a
on.
lot of them here.
It might be all of you.
Don't be bashful.
Thank you.
And if it passes and you put that 6th seat on, I'm running for city council.
Good job, good deal, good deal.
Okay. Now with all of that, we need to set a date for the for public hearing for our 22 to 23 budget. Do you have any time, recommendations on that, Dalton?
Yeah, so what we'll do is we're gonna start including the budget timeline behind the agenda on every single packet, you know, going forward. So that way
Okay.
y'all can always reference it. So for the public hearing on the proposed budget, we're looking at August 9th, the regular session for council. Of course, we'll have the budget workshop before that, but we'll just do those as regular special sessions, 72 hours out. But the council needs to call for the public hearing on the proposed budget for
So-
the August 9th.
So what dates are we setting for the workshops?
Right now, we have slotted the 2nd and 3rd, I believe, and I think we're gonna add another day, but I can get with y'all offline on the workshop days, and we can put
You
those
wanna
out.
do that, or
Okay.
y'all wanna,
But-
you wanna set it today?
So with the timeline pieces on the public hearings, we're pretty, I mean, we could push it back a little bit. We pushed it up to where September 13th, basically, this is kind of the timeline for our September 13th tax rate, budget, and everything adoption, which would leave about 30 days in between. We can push it back a little bit, but we'd probably have to do another special session to call for the public hearing on it.
Well, let's get
if
it
we
up,
wait,
get it up
so.
where we need to.
And just a reminder, we said we wanted a special, have you gotten back the surveys from other cities on the salaries?
We're still working on that. So one of those workshop days, we are going to dedicate to infrastructure, comp study, you know, and stuff to actually focus on just what council had recommended on the comp. So we're still waiting on, I think, 2 or 3 cities, but it'll be ready by the workshop. So today is the formality for just calling for the public hearing on the proposed budget. Y'all will have the budget and everything talked about. Y'all don't have to accept the budget on August 9th. Just the way the law reads, an action has to be taken. Whether that is postponed until September 13th session, where then you can do a public hearing on the tax rate, adopt the budget, and then adopt the tax rate. So we have flexibility. This leaves plenty of time and plenty of room to make sure we get all the concerns addressed.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to set a date on there, or accept a date? You wanna what date do we wanna set on there?
Right now we have it for August 9th, which is a regular council meeting.
August 9th, good, that's a regular council
Yeah.
meeting?
I move that we set the public hearing on our regular council meeting next month of August the 9th.
I'll second that.
Shante, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Now, number 8, discuss, consider ordinance 2022-05. We're gonna get a little monthly rate increase on our garbage, so you wanna tell us about that, Dalton?
Yeah, so this, you know, we're still talking. I got a meeting next week, I believe. I have to look at my calendar. I'm still playing catch up. With Waste Management to go over the new contract. So this is for the existing one. This is one that we get every year. Unfortunately, every city's getting hit with between 8 and 10% on their CPI increases for trash. So this is what we expected, and we don't know what it'll be. It'll roughly be probably about the same we project on the new one. But yeah, this is just the standard CPI inflation on this one.
And what does that amount to about, do you think, the ballpark?
I want to say it was,
Up to $17.45.
Like it's $1.
it was like $1.
$1.33.
I've got $1, it's about $1.33
Yeah, so,
increase.
it was less than
Increase
$1.50,
per
I
month.
think.
on the garbage
No,
bill.
that's the sales tax.
Pardon me?
The $1.33 is the sales tax.
Yeah.
Yes, that's with the sales tax. And this is something that we
This,
are tied to with our contract.
This is in our contract
So-
with them, so
this
this
is
is,
just the increase until the February contract?
Correct. So what we're working on kind of negotiating with, just on a high level, is we knew the CPI was coming since we're still in the current Evergreen contract, but we're gonna make sure that we negotiate something to where we don't get hit with the CPI at least for 12 months on whatever that's gonna be. So we're still working on negotiations for the new contract.
Okay.
But it's gonna roughly be, just to manage expectations. it's probably gonna-
$2.51.
I'm sorry.
$2.51
Okay.
is the increase.
Yeah, so it'll roughly be about the same. But more to follow on the new contract. So this is for existing contract, existing services, not the new one that's gonna be up and coming. And an up and coming one, of course, we'll have it, in front of council, in the next couple months. we're pushing for an effective date of October 1, which would just align with the fiscal year.
And then I think you also said you're going to send something out like a month in advance to the citizens
100%.
to let them know what the changes are.
Yes, yeah,
because
we're,
trash-
so normally they do 5-year contracts, and then they'll have like, I don't necessarily say they have auto renew, but they'll have an auto renew with mutual agreement to go in or out. But yeah, they're roughly about 5-year auto renew contracts.
And we might just say the truck they have now that does our trash, that's not going to be supported anymore. We don't have a choice but to renegotiate because now they've gone to those side loading trucks that pick them up. They'll supply the trash can. And so, and it'll go to once a week service as opposed to 2. But there isn't a choice. I think you said we're the only ones still left in the county that.
Yeah, we're one of the only ones left. Gatesville actually beat us to it before us swapping. High level, the contract that we had was called an evergreen contract, which pretty much means it went into perpetuity until somebody, one or both parties, said no. And they basically said, we've been doing this since 1980, and no longer are we going to honor it, so you have 2 years to change. And that's pretty much where we're at now with everything. So really, some of the stuff we're looking at, it will, Councilmember Harmon said, it will be once a week. We know that's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a 96-gallon container, which is about a half a yard roughly. But one of the big changes on it is it's going to be once a month, it'll be bulk pickup at your residence. So they'll do bulk pickup up to 4 yards, which equates to about 8 of those containers, roughly. So there's going to be some challenges we'll work through, but we're not just going to spring it on everybody. We'll make sure that there's, it's going to be fun. Let's just put it that way. It'll be fun.
Learning process.
It's going to be a learning process. So
Okay, we need a motion to
Okay,
accept
with the corrected sheet, I called in some different figures on this, corrected figures, so you have a corrected ordinance 2205. So on the corrected sheet with the figures, I move for the approval.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving right along, item number 9, discuss, to consider resolution 2022-15, and that's on our emergency generator contract, with, Cobb and Finley.
you want to, well, Alfonso here is with Cobb Finley. Cobb Finley is our general engineering, or our engineering services contract. So first off, I want to kind of point out the process of this. You know, the water tower update, we'll give an update on that a little bit later, but this generator one was the most recent one. It came out of the Senate Bill 3 issue, the requirement that we had to have the generators for the pump house, on this. Process went really well overall. If Alfonso wants to talk on it a little bit, he can. One of the things I want to point out, Councilmember Hartman had brought up a great point, and this is kind of the standard that we want to do. This process is relatively new. Ideally, we would have in front of council every single, like you guys have here, but it would be in the packet. We would put all of the bids in front of y'all and let y'all, basically we would say, hey, here's a staff recommendation, here's an engineering services recommendation, and y'all would be able to see all of them. So I apologize for that. We should have had that on there. However, on this one, we didn't do it because even though we do a weighted system, we don't just automatically assume low bid. We put a weighted criteria in there for references, for other things, to make sure we don't just, we get the best value. Somebody had taught me that recently. Get the best value. Not necessarily cost, not necessarily quality, but the best value. It just so happened that the best value was also the low bidder. So we actually, we had a total of four total bids. One got disqualified for, I think, some amendments or something. Yeah, the process, but we wanted y'all to have this going forward. We will make sure that y'all all have it, especially if, for example, this didn't come in as a low bid and we're saying, hey, we recommend a medium, or the moderate value one, but it's not necessarily a low bid. So yes, going forward, we will absolutely make that correction and have that part of the recommendations in the memo. So overall, I think the process went pretty well. You have any comments on that?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, citizens, thanks for having me here. Yeah, the only thing that I'll add on to that, as Dalton said, we're not just looking for the low bid in these kinds of projects. We're looking for the best value. And, we received 4 great bids, as Dalton said. One of them we had to disqualify for some technicality issues in the local government code. The other, 3 out of the 4 bidders that we received have great reputation in the industry. Our teams in Houston, in Austin, our electrical engineer, all have worked with these guys for years and years, so we're very confident with the capabilities of those 3 bidders. As Dalton said, it just so happened that this one, that they also ended up being the low bidder for this project. But, you know, we did all the calls, we called their references. They all had to submit project timelines and schedules and approaches that are project specific. So those are things that we all looked at in doing that weighted category in the process. So that's the only thing I had to say. I wanted to ask if anyone had any questions for me or about the process, about the project. All right.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Well, I'll be around if anyone thinks of anything they'd like to ask me, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, I will need a motion to accept that contract, and if, in that amount, what is the final amount on that? 232?
232,469.
469? Yeah. Is there any, I need a motion on that.
I make a motion, we accept this bid.
Okay. The second?
I'll second.
Robbie? Okay, now, anybody any questions? Donna, you have any questions?
No,
Rob,
just,
Larry?
just a matter of making sure that it was filled out with the McDonald Electric and the amount and the date, today's date, since it's blank.
In that case, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item number 10, it has to do with our master plan. Master plan, we would like to have a steering committee similar to the one that we had on the home rule. And, we come up with a recommendation. It's in your packet, folks. Did y'all see it, council? Did you
Yes.
see the recommendations? And we are, still have a few more. If you have some recommendations, we can add a few more people to it. I think you said we might have some young people join us on that, or?
Yes, sir. So we're looking, and we didn't put them on here yet. We wanted to make sure we got confirmation. But one of the recommendations of of Collier's Engineering was maybe to put some younger folks on there. So we were looking at maybe doing some 4-H students or some 4-H folks. You know, that way you can kind of get a different mentality from some of the younger population that are growing up in Morgan's Point. So that was one of the recommendations. So we're still waiting to kind of hear back from their parents to make sure that it's okay. But other than that, these were the ones that,
You wanna go ahead and proceed with this right here with the numbers we do have, and then bring them up later, or?
So, yeah, so great question on the oars. We put the oars on there because we wanted to talk with them. With planning and zoning kind of having initially spearheaded it, you know, I definitely recommend planning and zoning continue to kind of spearhead it. And so by having three folks on there from planning and zoning, I think would just be good. They're okay with that, so it should be an and, not an or.
Okay.
Again, up to council. On the economic development one, that is gonna be an or, but again, we can kind of plug and play later. We did get confirmation from Linda Bridges and Tom Edwards that they would both serve on it. And then, on the city staff side, you know, we had made the recommendation, to the mayor on this one. Dan Castelli is a member of the Public Works Department or Public Utility Department, but he's also a resident of the community, so it was kind of a twofold. Same thing with, Jesse Measles, you know, our utility director. So those were kind of the thought process behind those two folks.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to just wait till we get the names of those young people so that when we pass the resolution, we've got the list and can give the exact number and all of that. I don't think it would delay us any. much.
It'll probably delay us a little bit. I mean, what we could do is if y'all are happy with what's on here now or any changes on here now, we can put in the ordinance or amend the ordinance that basically says, you know, the mayor pro tem and the mayor can, you know, nominate or
I believe
place
we can
or
do that,
appoint,
Donna.
so.
We can do it on our own. We can nominate them. So if these are acceptable, we'll look at the young ones and talk about it, and then we can nominate them ourselves and appoint them to the committee.
Yeah, and then we can just inform
we would have
council.
to bring
Again,
it
it's
back
up to
through.
y'all. In that way, at least the committee can kind of meet and start figuring out the process and the
It says,
plan.
whereas the mayor should appoint the members of the committee.
Go ahead.
It says that right there.
Yeah, and so on the ordinance, we can, you know, or y'all can amend it, kind of really to whatever y'all want.
If we wanted
but-
the council to look at these names here, so you have some say in it. Well, do I have accept that, creation of the 2022-14 creation of Master Plan Steering Committee.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 2022-14.
Thank you, Larry. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Rob?
Do we need to put anything in the ordinance about you appointing or two of y'all appointing the other members that will
It's,
follow?
it's in part of that deal, it's on the front page of
It's
it.
covered in the,
I just have a question. Were you talking about when the committee meets, having the mayor appoint those additional members that would need to come back to the council? He can just appoint additional members at that time?
Yeah, so we didn't want to put any removal on there. You know, that would, of course, if you wanted it through resignation or just not doing it, council as a whole can do that. Just to keep the process going, these names here, if everybody agrees to those names, that would be a council, decision, here, and then just a couple, like this, the students that would come on there would be through the mayor if council wanted.
I like the
wanted to do
student
that.
idea. It also says there's a blank space the committee shall terminate on. Can we just say when the master plan is completed?
We can do that.
That would be,
You can do that?
yeah.
Yeah, and typically that's kind of standing with some of the committees. Once it's complete, it usually, like the home rule charter, it kind of just dissolves.
That way it doesn't give us a specific termination date, but just at the end of the
Only-
project.
only, adjustment we'll have to that is once the master plan is completed. Okay, there's been
Just one other thing, could we change that verbiage then, whereas the mayor can appoint members of the committee instead of should, since he's already appointed some, can appoint members of the committee? Because he's already done that, but this, when you read it, it'll be like he can appoint other members, which is what he's gonna do.
Remind it to can.
Yeah, the mayor can appoint members of the committee. So that just gives, that's just saying the council gives you the authority,
Other members.
can appoint other members of the committee, yeah.
For the original motion, are you good with?
Larry made it, yeah.
Okay.
Changes, yes.
Robbie, you good? Steve, you
Good.
You good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. You wanna do this on item 11, Larry?
Yeah, I would like to do this in open session.
We're gonna do this, okay, so, discuss and consider city manager's performance review. And normally this is done in executive session, but the city manager has the option to do it in open session, so he decided he'd like to have it done in open session, so you're all welcome to, get through this. Lovely, would you like to start it off? Would you wanna make some comments first, or?
Oh, no, this is y'all's review of me. I just get to sit and listen.
Does everybody have their evaluation? Larry, I've got yours right here if you,
Yep.
if you wanna keep it here.
I did mine in a different format. I did a written one, because the one that, you fill out, to me, just kind of, it really didn't do much of an evaluation, because it's hard to evaluate them on staff and different things like that. So I did it on a more personal evaluation.
City manager. Yeah, this was sent through, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, this was sent through email.
Did you get your?
No, I didn't.
I've got a blank one right here. I made up.
Did you get one of those?
I just,
Yeah, about a month and a half ago, 2 months. Yeah, this came through email about 3 months ago. 2.5, 3 months. Sure did. Sure did.
I mean, I'd prefer to go through with it.
You all okay to go through it?
Yeah, we're good.
You wanna share?
You'll share.
Well, you wanna switch places?
No, you can just
Okay.
share.
Well, here. Sure, it's
ready?
right here, yeah.
Donna, you wanna start that you got,
Okay, yeah, like I said, mine's a little different because Dalton wrote his accomplishments on those sheets, and so to me, it was easier than trying to check off some things that I don't have personal information about. I I just wrote it based on what he said and my personal dealings on it. So first off, you're a keeper, Dalton. Hello.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was taking some notes.
You're a keeper, and, definitely need to be considered for a raise once we get those salary things. So I want to say that right up front. So I'm addressing this with your self-evaluation that you had. There was a few mistakes in there I wanted to correct, probably misinformation that you received, but most all I wanted to address what you had in there. In regards to your top priorities, I think you did a good job of reducing expenditures that were unnecessary, and you did improve the finances by getting us a better interest rate. And you also added Carrie, our financial director. I think that was an excellent decision. We have been wanting a person of that quality for quite a while. I also think you did a great job with our staff by empowering them to make decisions and having confidence in your leadership style. You were able to secure a loan for the city water storage. However, you mentioned we only talked about it but had not planned in 5 years. But actually, the council had met with Jesse. Jesse put forward some plans with Jim Reed when he was our interim city manager. We talked about ways of paying for it, if y'all remember that, certificates of obligations or taking bonds. So we did more than talk about it. We were ready. We'd already decided what type of bond we wanted. But you definitely, we also educated the citizens as to the need for it. So I think we did take quite a bit of action on this. But we asked you to secure the bonds and make it a top priority, and you certainly took care of that for us. You also did a great job of meeting with local and regional stakeholders to establish relationships with them, and you did that right out of the get-go. You were making relationships, and I think that's very important for us as a city. You utilized the website managers to increase community involvement. You had the volunteers also work on a survey to our citizens. Just a correction, that was not our first ever survey. We've had numerous surveys to our citizens in the past. So that wasn't the first ever, but it certainly was a good one, Jim Ann. It was a good one. Okay, so major accomplishments under that, you had you not only improved communications with your staff, but the city council, we got weekly updates, and that was really good. We really appreciated the updates that you sent us. You did a great job with our citizens with transparency. I love your city manager coffees. I think the citizens love your city manager's coffee. We appreciate you getting that started, because that hasn't been done for probably 20 years that we did that. Now, I don't believe the public opinion was no trust in government when you said you kind of changed it from no trust in government. When we did the EDC strategic meeting, and I think most of our council was there, one of the major strengths of this city was listed as the city council, being very transparent and open to citizens. So, there's always that little handful of people, kind of the verbal people that make comments, but as a whole, I think the city council and the city had very good trust of our citizens. You did an excellent job of coordinating through Storm Uri, as you had said. You were doing it from Houston. You did a great job. You were so concerned about us. I kept telling you, take care of your family, stay home, do not get out in this weather. But anyway, you did a great job because you had to do it from a distance too, and we really appreciated it. It was a tough time for our city. We appreciated you hanging in there and doing that. You made staff more efficient in doing their jobs by improving their morale and efficiency in their jobs. And I think that was wonderful. Whenever you can improve morale, that is such a great quality to bring as a city manager. Love the shootout with the city manager. That is so cool. If y'all don't know, he has a shootout with our police officers and other police officers from around. I think you've won the first year, and this year you still won something. You got
I think I got overall last year, and then
rifle. So yeah,
Yeah.
So he more than hangs with them on that, but I think that's such a fun thing. And I love the fact that you brought back appreciation to our staff. We used to always celebrate birthdays and just different celebrations, and it had kind of gotten away from that, and I love the fact that we acknowledge our staff with that. I love the fact that you brought that back, Dalton. You did a very good job with our budget process. The city council wanted to remove the maintenance fees and had talked about it, and you made that progress happen. You took it upon yourself, said, let's see how we can do without it, and then the next year, the council took action on it. So you got us through that whole process. In regards to a new financial position, you said we had never hired anybody. We definitely have had financial directors in the past, some with that education. I would say, like, it's been since 2015 that we, had somebody that I felt had very good accounting knowledge. Although we did have someone that was actually a master's of finance. So that, it hadn't been decades. We also had a clean audit 17 and 18, and that was thanks to Dorothy Allen, a professional auditor and CPA who worked for us free as a volunteer. And then I think that you hired a very good director in Carrie Erskine, who has contributed to our financial health and transparency. So we can't thank you enough for finding Carrie for us. The only kind of negative thing is when you came on, you were asked to make the audits a priority. And we were 2 years behind, now 3, and they weren't started to April of 2022, the last audit being in 17-18. At the commission meeting, when I was meeting, several members made a comment that it was the city council's fault and also our city attorney's fault. And it's interesting, our city attorney's just on retainer. It's not his job to make sure we do a yearly audit. And certainly the city council has spoke on this audit numerous times. So I really didn't feel that was a fair assessment, and I really didn't feel it was fair to put blame other than where it should be. By increasing pool fees for our non-residents, daily fees increased, bringing management back in-house where we used to have it and was much more efficient. We actually resulted in more revenue than expenses. These were very good management decisions, Dalton. I think you established a very good relationship with the Corps, Bell County, and BISD. One of the things that you suggested was that we had a very rocky relationship with the school board, and I kind of took a little exception to that. Jill Ross was at our EDC. Those of you that were there remember her there. She contributed her talents to us. We have a very close relationship with Jill Ross. It's at Lake Belden. And I've known Jill Ross for several years. She's a wonderful woman, and we've always we have a great relationship with her. And also I don't know if you'd like me saying this publicly, but Ben Smith, who's the principal of Belton High School, I've known him since he was 5. So I think our relationship has been pretty strong in that regards. You did I think you have done a great job, and I really appreciate this. Our traditions in this city are so near and dear to my heart, and I appreciate it so much that you are on board with that, and you believe in following the city traditions. The Easter egg hunt, Christmas activities, fishing derby, and a lot of people said the 4th of July was the first time ever. We used to do this in the city for probably 20 years. Some of you people that have lived here a long time. We had streets with kids decorating things. We had street dances. We had a great time. And I'm just so happy that Jimbo, you took charge of that. You did an awesome job. And that Dalton saw fit to bring that back because our citizens loved it. And I'm so glad y'all reinstated it. And Dalton, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate all the kind words. Obviously, challenges along the way that's going to be faced, in everything that we do. Really on the audits, April of 2022, I will disagree with that. It's been ongoing since, when Kerry came on board, he was coming in from a non-government, standpoint. We wanted to make sure that we had a focused, balanced budget versus having audits done that we knew were going to be challenging, working with the audit firm, plus field work and everything. And so there was just a balance of effort on a little bit of all of it. As we continue to peel the onion layer back on the finances, we realized that over the past 2 years, they were just continuously getting worse. Every time we tried to dive into it or we would talk about something, we were coming up with something new that we had to resolve or get fixed. Mm-hmm. So yes, the focus was on the budget because we wanted to make sure that the transparency to the community was there. And just with that too, we put forward on the last budget kind of a capital projects list. We've done about 80% of what we talked to the community about, such as the shade sale and everything else. So not only did we kind of plan in the budget process, we were able to show the community where the money was going and where it was being spent. So yes, there was a balance of it, and we did kind of push that back a little bit. But the perspective of it, I've been here about 1.5 years, give or take. As a city manager coming in for a year, I should have 1 audit under my belt officially, with the second audit coming up in October. By summer of next year, we're confident that we're going to have all 4 audits complete and be completely up to date with we're hoping, fingers crossed, the clean audit November or 2024, basically. So that's there's a lot to it. And as we kind of peel that back, we can't focus on the current audits until we do the other audits. So Carrie is diligently working on that, and we appreciate all that. With the school district, you're right. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't hear, hearing from both sides, trying to, get the pulse of the community, get the pulse of everything. Not coming from here, trying to figure out that landscape and what it looks like. A lot of the stuff, in the comments that we heard, were both sides. And some of the stuff, especially with the school district, I don't think it was particularly one person. It was kind of just the general sentiment. I mean, the very first meeting I had with them was, is everything okay? Because they just weren't used to Morgan's Point Resort being involved, and it was a question. So it wasn't that there was a bad relationship, there really wasn't one. Now, I think on an individual level, 100%. I think we all have different relationships with different folks, but I think as the community as a whole, which is what I was there to speak on behalf of, it just seemed like we just had to get more involved, just like the COG, just like everything else. Really just playing on the regional stage. So that's all I have to say about that. I appreciate it.
Robbie, you have any comments on performance as far as?
Well, I'm gonna have
like
to
he-
shoot.
Like they see done, or has been done,
I'm gonna have to shoot from the hip a little bit, because I apologize. I did not print this off and I did not fill it out, and so I apologize for that, Dalton.
That's just particularly a guideline, it's not required, but it's a guideline.
Understood. But, I will comment, I do think that, that Dalton is doing a good job, from where I sit. I'm not up at City Hall. I have a job every day that I work very hard at. And so I'm not up there to see or to micromanage. So I just have to, some of it is you have to trust in the staff that you hire and the people that you have in leadership positions. And when I see the community, doing some of the things that we're doing right now with community involvement and the people that are volunteering their time, it just makes me very happy. It's my second term on city council, and I'm actually excited to come up here each month and hear from people in the community. So I mean, yeah, based on that and the things I hear in the community, and I will say also, Dalton is an open door. If I have a question, I call him and I can talk to him, and in that regard, I think that's a benefit as a city council member that's not up at the city hall listening to everything. I'm able to talk to Dalton and get information and questions if I'm asked. So in that regard, no, I'm very, very pleased with what I can see, what the performance is that Dalton is doing. And again, just what I see in the community. I mean, I think there's a lot of good things going on, and I think Dalton's got his hands in a lot of it. And I think a lot of the citizens that volunteer to do these committees and things that are out there are just positive, very positive. And I just think it's a reflection of a lot of good leadership.
Thank you.
Larry?
Well, I really don't have that much to say coming on board late. Donna said most of what I would, only negative thing I've got to say about it, he hasn't taken me flying in a plane yet.
Well, yeah,
Hey, you wanna-
only
you wanna go
Sean
tonight?
has flown in the plane.
No, Dalton, I mean, I remember the other city managers we had. I never became very familiar with him, but I know what happened. I know where he's come from. I'm familiar with his background of what he's been through. And the thing about it, he has brought a lot of what he learned into Morgan's Point. His trustworthiness, he's got my confidence of whatever he does. I've never went up there that we didn't have a good conversation. He's open. He explains stuff to you. If you have questions, all you've got to do is ask him. Call him up, and he's there anytime. But I'm glad to have him on board. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Sean, good turn.
I've already had my conversation with Dalton tonight, like you're saying. I asked him the first week he was here, I was like, what are your plans? What are you gonna do? Are we gonna see you going in here? And I think Dalton said he plans to spend the rest of his life here, raise his kids here, so I was like, okay, good.
I'm gonna stand up, because my legs hurt, I'm getting old, my knees hurt.
So, yeah.
I'm at City Hall, I'm at Dalton's face, probably more than he wants to see me. And, but it's a good deal. you know, and I've been on the council for many years, since 2020, or 2010, excuse me, 2010, and we didn't have coffee with the city manager. I mean, that's a big deal to me. People could come in and talk to him. We have coffee with the cops. I mean, we keep them off the streets for a while, but it's, you know, and the things that he has done, I mean, we're talking about Ramroddy, but there's so many things that he's got, that he's working on, we don't even know about right now. I mean, he'll call me and he said, "Did something with so-and-so there, and they're looking to do this, or they want to do that." It may never come to fruition, may not, it may, but he's talking. And like Donna said, he's got built rapport up with all of our people outside of our community, with Sitcog and Hugh Shine and representatives and city commissioners and county commissioners. I mean, we've had lunch with the city of Temple mayor. We're picking brains, you know, and it's pretty neat. So that's something we hadn't done, and I'm glad he's here. And I even I made a phone call to the mayor of Cameron this week, and I told him, I said, you know, we were looking at your previous city manager before our city manager came online. He said, "Be thankful that you didn't get him." By process of elimination, we got you, dude. And,
I haven't heard the best things about that mayor though either, so.
I'll take it.
City manager, yeah. But anyway, I think you're doing a great job. And give him the reins. You got people interested. You all are here. You know, before we had a city council meeting, we might not have but 5, 6 people there. Normally, they were employees. And now we at least have some participation. And we got people coming in. And thank y'all for being on the committees that you're serving on. And I know a lot of you are on a lot of different committees, so thank y'all. And that's all I have.
Yeah,
Anybody-
there's a lot more committees
finish
too. So if you're interested in serving on a committee, let Dalton know.
Okay.
Cleaned out my sinuses.
I was there, but nobody showed up. All the little kids finished up and they left, and I said, "Well, I'd have to dunk myself."
Yeah, we had a pretty long line.
You know, one thing I want to add is kind of the buzzword that people were saying in the city, change. We got to change everything. I love the fact that he has brought change and new ideas and new visions with still keeping the traditions of our city and not losing the philosophy of our town. And I think that is so very important. You know, we are who we are. Change is inevitable because we need to grow, and he brings us out about with new visions, but also he honors our tradition, which are so important to the city and our citizens. So I really thank you for that, Dalton.
Thank you.
Are we allowed to clap?
Sure.
Well, then, we'll just move on.
Yeah.
We need to. Do you have anything you want to report as far as on the city manager side of it?
For the city manager comments? Yeah, so a couple things on it. You know, there's a lot, you know, obviously that kind of 100-day update is not an exhaustive list. You know, the team diligently works behind the scenes on a lot of things. There's, I think we kind of set like a process to council at one point that kind of talked about, you know, hey, we talked about fixing roads, but what all is involved in that? And there's a lot of back office stuff that happens behind the scenes before we can get to, you know, to that point. You know, the generator, I think we started that 6 months ago roughly, and we were already kind of preparing for it with the 87th legislation. And so really a lot of these projects that you're starting to see complete have been started within, you know, the first 90 days of me being here. One that kind of creeped up on us was the MS4. Don't ask me what it stands for. Jesse's the expert in that, but it has something to do with storm drainage and everything. It's an annual requirement, and please correct me for the nerds in the room, other nerds in the room. You know, storm drainage requirement, we have to have an annual report. We've been behind 4 years. And so TCEQ pretty much slapped us with a B violation, which is definitely not what we want to do. Our representative has a great relationship with Jesse and the Dream Team, and so they kind of worked with the management and said, hey, we're going to help you out and we're going to give you until August 1. so that's awesome. But thanks to our engineering services, Catrice and everybody, we are gonna meet that August 1st deadline to have all 4 years of reporting done and completed. So that's a big win. The water storage tank, we are gonna be bringing it back to bid here soon. We're working on some fine-tuned details to see. It came in pretty high. We kind of expected it to be that way because of the market. We'll call it the silver lining of the Fed increasing their rate, means that a lot of smaller projects are going to be taken on versus some of the massive projects, because our bond that was a bad interest rate is now one of the best interest rates out there, winning. So we're going to hopefully see that some of these projects will start seeing some better results like we did on the generator. So we'll get kind of creative on that. I think from a city manager comment perspective, that's all I got.
Donna, we'll start with council members. Anybody have, I know you have.
Okay, yeah, I have the auxiliary report. You
Yeah,
want me
do the
to do
auxiliary,
that? Okay.
Do that.
Dalton, and I know right now we're going to be involved with a lot of budget things, but maybe coming out of that, could you get us a list of the grants and things that we're working on? You know, like I know sidewalks, but that, I'm not sure where that is. Maybe just not while we're doing budget, but, you know, maybe in addition, sometimes you can get us some
No,
of
thank
that.
you for bringing that up. So the grants, we've pretty much we're starting that program or process. So we've met with City of Belton and their grants person to really kind of see what they've done with associations, foundations, and other grants. We're still waiting on the sidewalk one. They haven't published it yet, but we are also working with K-Tempo. They do a every 2-year call to action, so we should be seeing that call to action here soon. So we are going to be working with those grants on there. One thing that Carrie reminded me of, which I think we initially came back with, I think it was an 80-20% on the generator grant that we submitted. So we did get it submitted. Commend Carrie and Catherine on that. They were pretty much down to the last minute doing it, not because of them, but because of the county and some of the processes with TDM. And so I really commend them for getting that put in, but we found out that it's a 90-10 match, not a 80-20, which means that we're only responsible for 10% of it. So that's,
Oh, I like that better.
yeah. Do what? Of the actual generator, yeah. So more to follow on that one, but yes, no, thank you for bringing that up. We are gonna, I know that's been a prerogative of the mayor for a while. We kind of wanted to make sure we focused on, one, the budget and the audit, so we kind of put that on there. We've been working with UMHB and some other, local colleges to try to pull in interns, accounting interns or planning interns, anybody who really wants to work, to come in and kind of help get some experience. And so we've been doing that to get them some experience in local government and accounting. So it's really helped us figure out some of our processes on that. And yeah, we'll have an updated grant
Good,
to y'all.
thank you. This is a report that was submitted by Karen Steigner of the Ladies Auxiliary. And she said their garage sale fundraiser, which is this weekend, the 17th and the 18th. And she thanked everyone that's contributed to it. This was the one that they had in June. And so it was a great fundraiser success for them. There's the welcome bags that they've been talking about for the newcomers. They gave away some at the July 3rd fest, and they have all kinds of information on them, flyers, goodies about our businesses out here, supporters or hobbyists. Anyway, if anybody wants one or knows somebody that's new to the community, let her know, and they'll deliver one of those bags for her. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said something. The auxiliary also was honored that they had a booth in the Summerfest, and to represent, they gave out U.S. flags to all of our neighbors. So if you went by that booth, you could pick up a little flag. I had mine in my hair sticking out. A lot of fun, a lot of great celebration, people waving flags all at the Summerfest. And they look forward to next year's. During the June meeting, they approved 2 new canopy tents to replace broken ones from the March event. And they've purchased 3 of them. And these tents also, if anybody else is putting on Mortgage Point Resort activities, the Cops, Lynn, or whatever, she said they would be very happy to lend them to whoever needs them for the city stuff. They're going to work together with that. They're going also to have a booth. We have a city-wide garage sale this weekend, and there'll be houses placed on maps, and people will be here setting up their booths and things, and the auxiliary is going to participate in that. We've got water aerobics going on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and just look at me. I've been participating. Don't y'all notice a big change? Don't even be saying anything. Grady, what are you laughing about? Anyway, it's a wonderful time. It's a great way to socialize. It's a fundraiser for the fire department. So it's mostly ladies, but I don't think that has to be the case. So anyway, come out and join us. We have a lot of fun. Their annual scholarship, they're renaming it. You know, it used to be the Miss Flames Scholarship. It's called Flame of Knowledge. And this is going to be for seniors going into educational commitments, which I think is such a great idea. Instead of just letting that lapse because they don't do the Miss Flame contest anymore, they're putting it toward a scholarship. So I think that's absolutely wonderful. The Bell County Expo is scheduled for September 28th, 8:30 to noon. The auxiliary will be there for our citizens out there, our senior residents. And they'll have the Vial of Life and different information. They'll also have those newcomer bags there too. They also wanted to thank the city council, city administrators, police, fire, neighbors, and friends for supporting them. You can follow them on Facebook. Once again, their Alaskan cruise is going to be the 8th through the 16th. They're going to help with the Santa Pal program, the Fire Week, and National Day Out. That's going to be in October, so they're going to participate in that. I know last year they had a nice setup over at the fire station, and kids had a ball going through everything. And Halloween, they're going to work with the city on our Halloween party, which will be on Halloween night, the 31st. So they'll be there as well, volunteering like they always do for every city event. The VFA Firehouse Meals, they're going to be working with them also. Cops and Robbers, they've got that scheduled for March 25th. Of upcoming year, and also Valentine's Ball. They're going to bring it back hopefully in 2023. And they're also on the 23rd, they're going to be helping the Fire Auxiliary and the Firemen's Association. It's a fundraiser. They're going to do a breakfast. So y'all need to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, or maybe a little later if you sleep in. But they are great cooks over there, anybody that's been to them. So you can stop at 8 o'clock, get some breakfast on your way to help Jim Ann and the library volunteers, because that's the day the library board starts too. Also, the cops are having a coffee on the 15th, correct?
Yes, and, Mr. Mayor, Becky, I will not be making my coffee this time. I'm going to buy coffee.
I'm not gonna say a word, dude.
Okay, so 7 to 9 on the 15th. So that's this week, folks. So come out and support your police department. And I think that's everything I had, Mr.
Anything
Mayor.
personal you wanna say?
Pardon me?
Anything you wanna say otherwise?
No, just once again, thank people for coming out in the community, and thank you for all your volunteer work, and the board over there, Commission Board, for all the hours that you put in with us. We appreciate y'all also.
Any comments, Robbie? Start with you. Any comments?
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight and showing your support. And I want to give a shout out to the July 3rd committee, everybody that helped on that. I heard so many great comments about it. If there were any shortfalls, I'm sure we'll correct them next year. And I just think that was a great event for this community. And also to the committee working on the home rule, Jimbo, and your committee. Thanks for all the hard work that y'all put in on this. I know that was a task. I look forward to reading it.
Larry, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank everybody for coming, and all these activities y'all have going on the last 2 weeks. I'm gonna miss them, because I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks,
Where are you going?
over to the East Coast.
Ah, okay, we're jealous.
I'm gonna go to where it's cooler weather.
We're
is where
jealous.
I'm going.
Sean?
Thanks for coming out. Fireworks were great.
Yeah, weren't they cool? Oh my gosh, wasn't that fun? Oh, there's somebody back here.
Yes.
I wasn't at this meeting on this changing of the rental location on Vista, whatever. I live on Vista. Two of the people that live on Vista have been set through this and left already, and two are still here, and none of us know what actually transpired. but they don't want me to build a house on it. So, I'm 80, I haven't given up, I'm still breathing. I have, lots of health problems, and I think it, as you can see, I don't, in 37 years, I've never been to one of these meetings. So, but I'm not trying to ask for something that would be a big favor. But I need, for my sake, in building a house on that, it's going to go back as a 3,000 square foot house, just like it was on the water. And there are people wanting to buy it, and I may turn right around and sell it. But the thing is, that's the only money I have left, and I have lost everything to do with that house. And I
You need to
have
get, we need to get together with the city manager and I'll meet with you.
I have
I understand, my man, we cannot discuss it because it's not on the agenda, so if you're looking for us to respond, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But we need to, we need to get together and resolve it. Yeah,
Can I say one thing?
yeah.
I don't know your procedures, and I'm only saying, I haven't gotten answers, and I just want to know what the rules.
That's what I'm saying, let's get together and we'll give you some answers or whatever.
And I would love to meet with him again, and, there's still a neighbor here, and we're all concerned about it on that street. Now, if things are secrets, why can't I get something in writing?
Like I said, we can't discuss that, ma'am, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, we will, but we can't open meeting, it's against the law. Okay? So if you'll call Dawson or let him call you, we'll set up a time and I'll meet with you also.
Okay.
Okay?
I would love that.
Okay?
I would appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Okay,
This is
you bet.
Thank you. We're so sorry that that happened to your home and your possessions. We're very sorry.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.